Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's lecture, we move from short-run firm behavior to long-run market outcomes in perfectly competitive markets. So far, we have focused on how individual firms decide how much to produce. Now we will examine how the entire market adjusts over time through entry and exit. Let's start with a quick review of the short run. The short run is defined as the period during which at least some inputs such as capital are fixed. Because of this, firms face cost constraints. We divide the marginal cost curve into three important zones using the average cost and average variable cost curves. When marginal cost curve crosses average cost curve, that point represents the break-even level. If price is above the average cost, the firm is earning profit. If the price crosses the average variable cost curve, that point represents the shutdown point. This framework helps us understand the firm decision in the short run. Now let's interpret these conditions more carefully. If the price is greater than average cost, the firm earns profit. The blue shaded area indicates the profit zones. If the price equals average cost, the firm earns zero economic profit. If the price is between the shutdown point and the break-even point, the firm is making losses. But it continues to operate because it can still cover its variable cost. Yellow area indicates the price levels where the firm is making a loss but continue operating in the short run. However, if the price falls below the shutdown point, the firm cannot even cover its variable cost and it will shut down immediately. The red area represents the levels where the firm needs to shut down for now. This review is important because these short-run decisions drive a long-run adjustment. Now let's connect this to the firm's supply decision. For a perfectly competitive firm, the marginal cost curve becomes the firm's supply curve, but only starting from the minimum point of average variable cost curve. This means the firm only supplies output when the price is high enough to cover variable costs in the short run. When the firm observes the market price, it uses the rule P equals MC to determine the quantity to produce. In the graph, MC curve, red colored line starting from the shutdown point, represents the short-run supply curve for profit maximizing or loss minimizing firm. Now we move to the long run, where entry and exit play a crucial role. If firms are making profits in the short run, they have an incentive to expand production. Existing firms may build new factories or purchase new machines or lease more offices, and new firms may enter the market to earn the profit given the market price. This process is called entry, which is the long-run response to profit. On the other hand, if firms are making losses, they may reduce production or exit the market entirely, depending on whether the firm can cover average variable costs. This is called exit. Entry and exit are the key mechanisms that drive long-run adjustment. Now let's define long-run equilibrium. In a perfectly competitive market, the firms are price takers, so they cannot control price. Instead, entry and exit adjust the market price over time. Long-run equilibrium occurs when firms produce at a level where price equals marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and price also equals average cost. At this point, firms earn zero economic profit. Zero economic profit does not mean firms are doing fully. It means they are covering all costs, including opportunity cost. At this point, no firm has an incentive to enter or leave the market. Now let's see what happens when firms are making profits. Suppose the market price is $6. The firm follows the rule P equals MC for profit maximization and produces 400 units. At this level of outcome, price is greater than average cost, so the firm is earning profit. Specifically, profit margin is $2 and the profit is $800. This profit is represented by the blue shaded rectangle between price and average cost in the graph. So let's move to the market level. When firms are making profits, new firms are attracted to enter the market. As new firms enter, the market supply curve shifts to the right from S0 to S1. This increase in supply causes the market price to fall from $6 to P1. As the price decreases over time, profits begin to shrink. Let's say cost curves. More new firms enter, less profits created. This process continues over time. Entry will continue as long as firms are earning profits. Eventually, the market price will fall to the break-even levels where price equals minimum of average cost, like break-even point. At this point, firms are earning zero economic profit and entry will stop. Now let's look at the opposite situation. Suppose the market price is $1. The firm again follows the rule P equals MC and produces 200 units. However, now price $1 is less than average cost $6. So the firm is making a $5 losses per output. This loss is shown as the red shaded rectangle between average cost and price. At the market level, losses trigger exit. Some firms may continue operating temporarily if they can cover variable costs, but others will shut down. As firms exit the market, the supply curve shifts to the left from S0 to S2. This reduction in supply causes the market price to rise from $1 to P2. As the price increases over time, the losses become smaller. This exit process continues until the market price rises to the break-even level, like the minimum of average cost $4. At this point, price equals average cost and firms earn zero economic profit. In the long run, only firms that can cover all costs remain in the market. Now let's take a step back and think about the broader picture. So far, we have explained how entry and exit drive the market toward a zero economic profit in the long run. However, there is an important question we need to ask. When firms enter or exit and the industry expands or shrinks, do production costs stay the same? The answer is not always. As an industry grows, meaning more firms enter or existing firms expand production, the cost faced by firms can behave in different ways. In some industries, costs remain unchanged. In others, costs increase, and in some cases, costs actually decrease. Based on how costs respond to expansion, we classify industries into three types: constant cost industries, increasing cost industries, and decreasing cost industries. Understanding these differences is very important because it determines how the long-run supply curve behaves. In a constant cost industry, the expansions of the industry does not affect the cost of production. This happens because inputs are easily available. For example, in agriculture, land, labor, and materials may be widely accessible, and increasing production does not significantly increase input prices. Because input prices remain stable, firms entering the market face the same cost conditions as existing firms. Now let's follow the adjustment process. When demand increases, the price rises in the short run, and firms begin earning profits. This attracts new firms into the market. As new firms enter, the supply curve shifts to the right. This increase in supply pushes the market price back down. This process continues until the price returns to the original level, where it equals average cost. So in the long run, the final outcome is that quantity increases, but price returns to its original level. This is why the long-run supply curve in a constant cost industry is horizontal. It indicates that firms can supply more output without increasing costs. Now let's consider a different case, the increasing cost industry. In this type of industry, costs increase as the industry expands. This usually happens because inputs are limited. For example, skilled labor, specialized equipment, or land may not be easily available. As more farms enter the market, they compete for these limited inputs, which drives up input prices. Now let's think about the adjustment process. When demand increases, price rises in the short run, and firms earn profits. This attract new firms into the market. However, as firms enter, input prices increase, which raises production costs for all firms. Because costs are rising, the supply curve does not shift as far to the right as in the constant cost case. As a result, the new long-run equilibrium has both a higher quantity and a higher price than before. This is why the long-run supply curve in the increasing cost industry is upward sloping. It reflects the fact that producing more output requires higher costs. Now let's look at the third case, the decreasing cost industry. In this type of industry, costs decrease as the industry expands. This may not seem understandable at first, but it happens for several reasons. One reason is technological improvement. As an industry grows, firms may develop better production methods or benefit from innovation. Another reason is learning and specialization. Workers at firms become more efficient as they gain experience. Economies of scale can also play a role, where larger production leads to lower average costs. Now let's follow the adjustment process. When demand increases, price rises in the short run, and firms earn profits. This attracts new firms into the market. As firms enter, technological improvements and efficiency gains reduce production costs. Because costs are falling, the supply curve shifts significantly to the right. As a result, the final long-run equilibrium has a higher quantity but a lower price than before. This is why the long-run supply curve in the decreasing cost industry is downward sloping. Now let's connect all of these to efficiency. Perfectly competitive markets achieve two types of efficiency. Perfectly competitive markets achieve productive efficiency because firms produce at the lowest possible cost. They also achieve allocative efficiency because price equals marginal cost, meaning resources are allocated to goods that consumers value most. There is no overproduction or underproduction. In the real world, perfect competition is a theoretical benchmark. It helps us understand how markets work under ideal conditions. However, real world markets often deviate from this model. For example, firms may create pollution, which is not reflected in market prices. New technologies may disrupt industries. Some consumers may not have enough income to participate fully in markets. Government policies, discrimination, and imperfect information also affect market outcomes. Because of these factors, real markets may not always achieve the efficiency predicted by perfect competition. Thank you for your attention.